and then I'll update you. The game has begun, to those of you who are 2 minutes behind what I am currently. Alright everyone, welcome, 0-0. Welcome to game 1 of this best of 5 in the round 16. We do have KINGofOsmane playing India in the top right, in the color green, and in the bottom left is Goongoon also playing India. It's an India mirror in the color blue. And both players off the start are going to take their monks and scout for treasures and for yaks. KINGofOsmane has immediately spotted 85 wood, which is of course a great treasure for the Indian civilization, as their villagers cost wood. And meanwhile, 90 wood is being scouted by Goongoon. So both players off to great starts with excellent wood sources. Both are going to be happy with those. There are herdable yaks across the map, which do produce passive experience for the Indian civilization. Another 50 wood is going to be scouted by Goongoon, as well as whatever treasures they come by, naturally, as it is. If we look at both civs, both players' decks, well, we can't, but if we look at Goongoon's, we do see 10 Tiger Claws, which is sort of a personal preference card. It's not in every India deck, but it is certainly in some. And most famously, this could be the card that I believe won Black Star OP a game versus H2O in one of ESOC's first tournaments. Perhaps I'm mistaken there. You guys can let me know. Meanwhile, just more treasure collecting going on. KINGofOsmane is up a villager, means he queued his first villager up a bit before Goongoon, which is a nice little advantage, about 7 seconds, nothing huge, but one of the small things. Both players should be sending their first shipment, which I highly suspect to be distributivism, the wood trickle. As we can see, a bit of the variation in the decks. KINGofOsmane does not have 10 Tiger Claws, he has sustainable agriculture instead. Perhaps that's the most notable difference. If you look at treasures, wow, this is quiet with only one caster. Like we said, both of them with the big wood treasures off the start. Goongoon with the 50 wood, Goongoon with the 75 food, and Osmane only with that 35 coin. So far age 1 has gone in Goongoon's favor, and as we can see, that's reflected in the age up. And he's already aging with 1 villager on the Agrifort Wonder, securing this mine and hunt. Meanwhile, we also see a defensive Agrifort Wonder from KINGofOsmane. However, this is securing much less resources than Goongoon's. I would have much preferred to see this aggro perhaps over here, or somewhere closer to here. Its potential, or potentially it could not really play a difference into the game, but we'll see. If we look at text completed, in mirrors, the little things carry a large importance. Both players are building their market right now, but the rate at which these get they get these upgrades, can really snowball further on in the game. We do see both players hurting. KINGofOsmane trying to bring in the 2 extra hunts, and Goongoon just with the 1. Potentially, this hunt is also hurtable for Osmane, and I'd like to see him go for it. Osmane does get his first honey dogs, or his first food gathering bonus in before Goongoon. And we'll see what happens later on in the game. I'm not too certain what is Indian Mirror. With the recent nerf to Sepoys, it probably favors something like a Gurkha start, followed up by a stable for Zambrax and going for an age 2 sort of skirm goon play. Or potentially there's an age up, or a window to age up in there, excuse me. Goongoon hitting age 2 roughly 5 seconds before KINGofOsmane. Both players getting their 2 market upgrades in. Ooh, and a strategical wall from Osmane. I assume he scouted this aggro. I haven't been paying too much attention. But this is actually a great wall to buy himself some time. And, okay, so if we look at all units, 9 yaks by Goongoon and only 3 found by KINGofOsmane. So this is going to give him Goongoon a nice experience advantage in the mirror. This is 6, the difference is 6 yaks. That's probably close to half the trading post or so, which is not ignorable, but also not game winning by itself. Both players shipping the 2nd Wood Trickle card. This is all fairly economically greedy, but you see that a lot in the mirrors. Meanwhile, looks like Osmane, no, never mind, just still searching for treasures. And it looks like this is the very last treasure on the map, so in 6 minutes, every single treasure's been picked up, which is quite impressive if you ask me. KINGofOsmane is getting his Imperial bureaucracy in before Goongoon. In my opinion, that gives him the edge in the market upgrades. And we can see that in the military population. Osmane has not made any units yet. Goongoon has made 4 sepoys, along with his 2 from the age up. Now 300 export coming in for Goongoon. We'll see what he decides to use this on. He does research the Ottoman consulate, so I expect to see the 4 villagers first and foremost. Meanwhile, 600 coin. So this is the first divergence in the build from the 2 players. Potentially it looks like KINGofOsmane is trying to age up, while Goongoon is perfectly well macroed with a sizable, relatively, army. And we'll see if can Osmane get this wall up. This choke is not walled in though, and it looks like he's going to be forced to make some Gurkhas. And I believe his resources have dropped for that. Some tactical walls coming down from KINGofOsmane, who feels like he's under pressure. And rightfully so, it's 20 to 2 military population, and it looks like he just wants to age up. Meanwhile, Goongoon is trying to hit this timing. It's going to be close. I mean, he's currently almost popped, and you have to wonder where is he going to lay down the wonder. Looks like it's going to be right there, but that's very vulnerable to pressure. And he's putting all of his villagers into the TC. He has a couple of options. He has both sets of Minutemen. However, there's no consulate down for Osmane, so we will not have access to Ottoman minutes or anything like that. Goongoon is just sort of walking around. I feel like trying to chase the army of Osmane. Meanwhile, there's just nothing to defend this pressure. And you have to think behind this, Goongoon can probably just stop making units and age up himself. But it looks like he will be adding in a stable. Perhaps he wants to stay age 2. And a villager coming down for Osmane. And this is going to be a slow age up with no villagers on the wonder. If we look at units lost, 3 villagers for Osmane so far. The 2 sepoys cancel out, so 3 villagers for 3 Gurkha and 2 Soyars. And a heck load of idle time. Seems to be worth it for Goongoon. Meanwhile, Goongoon is macroing to age himself. And he's going to come back in here. Surely he can pick off the market or something else, or just keep delaying this age up. Another wall going down, although I wouldn't be surprised to see that villager fall. Nice little gate here to save the 1 sepoy. Fortunately, the villager does die. So I believe this wonder does give ceasefire, is that correct? I don't play a lot of India. Or perhaps it doesn't. 3 sepoys popping now. I really wish I knew how to play India, so I knew it would be popping from this wonder. Meanwhile, we have standard. Okay, here's a wonder going down now for Goongoon. Ah, it's the one with the Mauhao. Goongoon smartly getting out of there right before and still finishing off the house with the elephant. That was very well done by him. Could easily have forgotten it or lost his units, but did neither. So now King of Osmane is in age 3, just shortly before Goongoon, with a whole lot more idle time and 4 lost villagers. It's possible that he has a window to push in here, but we'll see. So far looks to be very in favor of Goongoon. King of Osmane is currently, well, he was currently popped. And 1,000 coin coming down for him. Interested to see really what he spends it on, as he doesn't have a whole lot of infrastructure. And there's even a little cheeky 3 sepoy raid going on. That villager should get away, and these sepoys should die, but just more induced idle time by Goongoon. Meanwhile, so the 1,000 coin came in, but there's really no production facilities to spend it on. There's just a single Agra fort. Meanwhile, Goongoon has the barracks, the Agra, and the stable to provide himself upgrades and production facilities. Oh, he's gonna age, my lord. Is that... maybe something can be done with this. Goongoon is adding up a couple of choked walls himself. Perhaps he's afraid of the early age 3 aggression from Osmane. But Osmane's just going to age, and I mean, what do you expect? The 1,000 Urumi, or the 1,000 food Urumi for 10 of them. Both have both just have the 2 Urumi cards, and then the sort of negligible 5% army upgrade. You have to wonder if Goongoon sort of has a hunch of what's going on. It's awfully quiet from Osmane's side. But it looks like he's not ready to age up quite yet. He's adding the town center himself. He did age up with the Tower Victory, which does allow him to call ceasefire, I believe. Tower Victory going up for Osmane. And he will have a shipment ready, and he will have the 1,000... no, never mind, I'm looking at Goongoon. I do wonder what card Osmane is going to send. You would have to think it must be Urumi, but he doesn't have the food. In fact, he's drastically behind in economy, 51 to 39. Goongoon scouts the age up and is just going to march his army in. It's very likely he can pick off a villager or 2 here. A couple cavalry units still alive, maybe be raiding. This army is going to be scouted by the wall. We'll see if he reacts accordingly or not. There's still yet... King of Osmane is stacking 2 shipments now. If he can get the necessary food out, it's possible he can get the Urumi. He is dropping his second artillery foundry. Town center. Meanwhile, primarily Gurkha and 2 Howdah army out of Goongoon. And I think he's just going to age himself. If we look at the macro, it's maybe not the best it could be, but it certainly seems as though he's stacking to age himself, which I think is smart. It just seems like Goongoon is a couple steps ahead in terms of applying damage and aging up himself. So yeah, we're just going to see dual age 4 mirrors. I didn't know that this is the way that the mirror went. Perhaps it usually doesn't, but looks to be going that way right now. And I mean, just look at the graphs. Clearly, Goongoon is in a great spot right now. And it's reflected in the scores, which is only going to increase when Goongoon ages. And he has the map. He's adding his third TC now. His aggro is continuing to secure more map than King of Osmane's. I just feel like Osmane is sort of trapped in a little bubble. And his in-base mine has just run out. There's still these two pesky soars alive, which the Mauhaut is going to hunt. And do quite well against. Relatively. So, the 10 Yurumi have been shipped about a minute ago by Osmane. Meanwhile, 2 siege elephants, I believe, for Goongoon. Or are those the Howdas? Those are the Howdas, never mind. So it looks like Osmane can do something here. He's shipped his second shipment, which I believe is going to be 9 Yurumi. And the nice little 2 Mauhauts from the age up from Goongoon are going to be helpful. As Yurumi, it seems as though they aren't countered by anything, but cavalry do quite well versus them. And so we see roughly equal military populations and a large disparity in the economic population. But Osmane is still afraid to commit, and these walls are proving themselves to be very helpful for Goongoon. And now we see resources are starting to dwindle. These villagers are quite sort of precarious. Meanwhile, all of Goongoon's production or gathering locations are pretty well covered and protected. Looks like Osmane feels that these villagers are especially exposed. And meanwhile, this economic population disparity continues to increase for Goongoon, as he has had the third town center for quite a while. And we see the sort of circular motion of Tibet coming into play here. As one player pushes up one part of the map in one direction, the other player's army is pushing the other in the opposite direction. Sort of going in this swirling motion, which is reflected in the map design being circular plateaus. And okay, we see British East Company being shipped actually by King of Osmane, which increases his sepoy, so our attack and hit points, as well as Gurkhas. I would have probably preferred the 9 Yurumi, as at this point it almost just feels like a Yurumi war. Although, oh, he did ship 9 Yurumi after. I mean, you have to wonder though if you just don't keep shipping 9 Yurumi no matter what. I don't know. Okay, so we're seeing some fairly dynamic base trade play. Ooh, and a nice Yurumi pop. Wow. Goongoon's currently using inspiration. Oh, that's what the tower does. Oh, but my goodness, look at this Yurumi population coming in now. Meanwhile, Goongoon is abandoning this town center to come back here. So actually, maybe this Yurumi pop was not the best, as it got cleaned up relatively quickly, and there's still this massive Yurumi now for Osmane. And neither player has units which counter these Yurumis. Let's look at this fight. Now, King of Osmane has used his inspiration, and Goongoon does not have it available. And there are all these Yurumis alive. Oh, but I think there are just more units here for Goongoon. And a lot of these guys are getting DPS down. And he does have the 2 Mauhauts in the fight as well. And yeah, this fight is going overwhelmingly in Goongoon's favor. Now the game looks all but won for him. The Yurumi not enough. And the Gurkha mass. The choice of unit Gurkha deciding or proving to be a smart choice. And that's game 1. Goes to Goongoon. I'm going to restart my game as I definitely have the sound glitch, but well played by Goongoon. India mirror on Tibet. We can just, I mean, the choosing to add in the military aggression just gave himself a lot more freedom. And as a result of all this idle time, Made me want to laugh too. Did you guys know that almonds aren't really nuts? Well, people who have peanut allergies are mostly allergic to the peanuts that grow in the ground, but almonds grow on trees. Most people are not allergic. Shout out to Noel in the chat. This song is all about him. Very well, swell. Excellent. I used to have this soundtrack when I was a kid. I think when iPods first became a thing. And I would play the song so much on repeat. I don't know why. I loved it so much. I'm supposed to go on my main account, SirCallen, but both players just agreed. I'd hate to mess up our jive. I'll do it for the next game. For those wondering who I am, maybe you're like, who is this guy? I'm me. I'm SirCallen. I'm active on the forums, and sometimes you might see me streaming at odd times of day. I'm going to be casting this series. Of course, one game has already been played, won by Goongoon, in this best of 5 series. And let's just update that score, since I did restart my game. So we do have Brits versus French. Goongoon will be playing the Brits in the northeast of the map, and in the southwest is KINGofOsmane in the French civilization. And for some reason my game just does not want to play the music. Strangely enough. So that's unfortunate. I wish I could keep the Christmas music playing the whole time, but if I do so, Twitch will mute the VODs on copyright basis and we'll be unable to upload them to YouTube. So, and I see right now someone in the chat says, "Stop music, moron." I'm well ahead of you, bud. I live 2 minutes in the future. I see everything. So if we do look at text being completed or researched, Hunting dogs already coming in for Goongoon. And not yet for Osmane. Although he is chopping for it. He's close to the 50 coin. I do believe it was not a wood start. Overchopped by 2 wood. Bad player. Treasure contention. Not really. Goongoon getting it. And, you know, you'd think Osmane should have maybe gone in for the melee there. Perhaps a bit of a delayed reaction or so. His Explorer does have more hit points. Alright, so let's look at the decks. This map does, of course, feature some water. Goongoon has schooners, as well as whale oil in his deck, but no 2 caravel shipment, as you might expect. Meanwhile, Osmane has yet to choose a deck, so we'll keep you updated there. Let me adjust the sound real quick. A bit loud. So 60 food being picked up by Osmane. 3 settlers coming in as Goongoon's first card. And he is scouting those sheep. If you look at treasures picked up so far, nothing substantial. The 100 XP that Goongoon got allowed him to get his 3 villagers quite fast, almost as if he had a trading post start. Otherwise, nothing too great being picked up. 100 food, not going to be picked up before he starts aging, but still a nice treasure. Meanwhile, both people are aging up, and Goongoon managed to sneak in Gangsaw before he aged, which is actually really nice with that 100 food. He still aged on time without idling a villager, and got Gangsaw in, which is going to help him. Of course, British love to chop wood in transition, so it's going to be a huge bonus for him. Trading post going down for the French player. Excuse me for that. Pretty standard things going on for both players. If we look at all units, 6 sheep for Goongoon and just 3 for KINGofOsmane. That's a nice pickup. It's good to have those sheep. Meanwhile, the stealth scout sort of seeing what's going on. And the 500 food age up. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with this. Looks like he's a... no, he's just going to herd these in. The 400 wood coming in for the French player. We'll see if he decides to drop down a military building or not. And we do. We see the fairly typical stable behind the TC. Text being completed. Both players have their standard 2 market ups. Placer mines set a Gangsaw for the French player and steel traps hitting just now. This is all very standard. 700 wood coming in for the British player. Expect to see 4 CDB for the French. There they are. Looks like he wants to go for this 135 coin. It's a great treasure to pick up in this early colonial part of the game. And a barracks is going to be coming down. You should be getting units out of it just when the Hussars hit his base. Should be nice timing. The native scout being caught outside of his stealth. And here they are, the 5 Hussar coming forward. And units in queue, 5 musketeers will be hitting the floor, and 5 settlers after the 700 wood. Sometimes you might see Brits choose to go for 600 wood instead. 5 settlers is also a very viable line of play. And we see the 5 cav are going to be scouted by Goongoon and proper reactions. Now Osmane losing about 3/4 of the hit points on one of his Hussar. Not going to be doing a whole lot of damage. And he's shipping 700 wood behind it, just building the barracks, doing fairly normal things. I don't expect him to make units from this barracks, just to have it down, in case of a timing push by the British or something. Meanwhile, 700 coins should be his next shipment to age up. We see Osmane smartly splitting his cav into 2 groups to sort of force a reaction from Goongoon. Sort of an attempt to outplay, but a lot of these manors are placed with ample line of sight. Although, oof, I think he's going to keep the villager, but that's a lot of idle time, which is a small win in itself for Osmane. So we see 700 coin come down for the British player. Looks like he's going to age up just off that. A simple musketeer semi from him. Meanwhile, soon 700 coin should be hitting the floor. There it is. It looks like he's going to pick up this 135 coin. So both players doing semi-FFs. We see the Hussar from King of Osmane and the Musketeer from Goongoon. What this means is in Age 3, usually it means Musketeers are sort of a useless unit. Not necessarily useless, but much less useful, as they get outranged by skirmishers easily. And even Dragoons do quite decently versus them. Meanwhile, these Hussars can still be used in a composition or as sort of leftover raiding units in Age 3. But they're all such low hit points, I think they might all be cleaned up. Yeah, and Goongoon recognized that, and he's just going to fight these guys. And they're all dead. So, wow. Meanwhile, a CDB. I don't know why I just signaled to myself, but a bit of a misrally from the French TC. He's going to get out of there alive, though, but some unfortunate lost villager seconds. Pardon me, I did not have recalculated economic population on. It's as expected to be in favor of the British player, although not as heavily as one might think. Only 120 manor pop, which is not too it's not too absurd. A lot of times British will boom to much higher than that. 120 coin going to be picked up. Oh, but no, I think he's going to be killed. Oh, he is. Alright, so Goongoon just aged up. He has a shipment. I 100% expect that to be 2 falconets and a veterancy upgrade. Potentially on his musketeers. Meanwhile, King of Osmane also has a 2 falconet shipment of his own. So potentially this game could come down to an artillery fight. And you have to wonder, if you're the British player, should I drop an artillery foundry, train a Colv, or potentially another falconet, but I think the Colvern is a better idea, so that he can win the artillery fight and then use his musketeers from Age 1 or from Age 2 in a more effective composition. And 2 falconets of his own. So, alright, this is going to really probably just come down to who wins the artillery fight. And, okay, no volleys coming off from the Goongoon's Falcons. And Osmane deciding to go back. You have to wonder if the French player isn't under some sort of... you have to wonder if the French player doesn't want to be the aggressor in this matchup. Feels like maybe the British economy outscales the French. especially if the French doesn't do something like ship 1k wood and add a second TC. Although, did he get the 120 coin? He did. Goongoon. Oh no, Goongoon got it. Ah, he must have set to villager over here, something that I must have missed. Killing a sheeps for a nice food bonus at 11 minutes. I'm a big fan of killing sheeps for food. I'm usually quite impatient with it. Do it right away. Alright, so 8 skirmishers coming in for KINGofOsmane. And he did search amalgamation, which sometimes you don't see. I know there's a thread on ESOC with some discussion about it. H2O said something like he didn't think it was totally viable, but that was a while ago and perhaps the meta has changed. That CDB is finally dying mid-map that got misrallied over here. And veterancy upgrade coming in for the Hussars. Looks like he's going for a Musk-Husk composition H2 with some falconets, which you might think Goongoon, I mean that's the counter, but if you have enough Musk-Husk and you just slam it in there, as well with the falconets to DPS down the skirmishers, it can be a pretty devastating unit composition, I'm not going to lie. And his eco is just rolling right now, 49 to 37. It's reflected in the military pops, 70 to 57. We're going to see, I mean, this is kind of tricky to micro. You have all of Osmane's units technically counter and kite your own. So it's going to be really, really tricky. Osmane does have a shipment he hasn't sent yet. You wonder what it might be. Potentially 1,000 coin? Maybe 7 skirmishers? 5 dragoons? Oh! Okay, so they're just trading falconets equally. And both are just using their infantry to... Oh, kill the falconet! I mean, he's slamming everything in there. That falconet got off 2 extra volleys and it needed to. A lot of these musks. Okay, there you go. Can he DPS down the dragoons and get the hussars on the skirmishers? I just don't think it's going to be enough. Although this is a good trade for Goongoon. I mean, he's still getting good damage. He's going to pick off a villager here, at least. Now Log Plume coming out for the British player. Don't see that all the time. And it looks like he's just content to just keep massing. He still has yet to max manners, although he's quite close. And 5 dragoons coming for the French player. So just pure unit shipments from himself. Meanwhile, the British does have cavalry combat in, although there's not a whole lot of cavalry on the floor. As I say that though, a nice pop of 7 hussars. And cavalry HP. Interesting. This could have been something like musketeer combat, which maybe I would have preferred. But I mean, goodness, these hussars are almost 500 HP. And look at all these skirmishers. Wow. Hit points is the most important statistic in a cavalry unit, as one of their most important uses is to snare an enemy composition, which of course hit points is very important for. That's one of the reasons why Mamelukes are so strong, even though they don't have great attack, they just can snare all day and tank. And he's going to lose 2 SRs, but he did scout the raid, which potentially could have picked off a few villagers, which is nice. Perhaps we'll see him garrison these and just a counter push, as a lot of the French villagers are exposed on their own. And it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. And the Dragoons are being pulled back. I think Osmane has an idea of what's about to come. And he knows his villagers are exposed. Okay, so cap combat coming in for the French player himself. Another villager is going to go down here for sure. But just 105 to 76 military. And the economy is almost double for the British player. He started to go on mills now too. Ah, the Yemen shipment. It's a favorite of mine. Gives your longbowman the same amount of range as the falconet, 26. It's quite a strong card. And especially it allows in fights where you have Hussar and the Dragoons want to keep kiting them backwards. It's difficult to kite against 26 range to be out of firing distance from those guys. Quite a good card. What I'd really like to see is, he's done it down here. He's separated off one Hussar to there we go. More music, kind of. Let's just go on to the next one. It's really unfortunate to come down to something like this. Might have to make another cup of coffee. I do have hand warmers though, because I went out to get breakfast this morning, and my hands were so cold it felt like I would never get them to warm up even when I was inside my own apartment. So I bought some hand warmers. Alright. Dutch mirror. On Cascade range, interesting choice. Cascade range is of course notoriously low hunt, rush friendly, map control friendly. You normally expect to see civs like Russia, Aztec on here, not necessarily Dutch. So this will be interesting. Will players opt for Age 2 play, or will it still be an Age 3 eco-fest? To be fair, Osmane messaged me from before the series started. He's legitimately sick. It's not something he's just talking about now. Well, that's the end of the song. Should we leave it there? I don't want to, but the game will most likely start soon. No, the silence is overbearing. We're starting up a new one. I can't take it. But I want this Age of Empires sound in game. Oh, it's this song. Does anyone else just feel overwhelming nostalgia when they hear this? I don't want to stop playing it, but I have to. What a good song. Alright guys, we're going into game 3.
Hey mate.
Hello.
I'm just listening to you, so I thought I'll hop in and between games, help you out.
Oh yeah, appreciate it.
You're doing a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
What's your clan name? It's Team House?
Yes,
How
it's
do you know that?
Korean for Team House. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Someone else made it, and I joined.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah. Unfortunate timing though, we just hopped into the game, so yeah, we do. Dutch mirror on Cascade range, interesting for sure.
Dutch mirror, oh my god. Like, KINGofOsmane is actually pretty good with Dutch, and Goongoon isn't, so this might be an opportunity for King, I think. Goongoon is a bit stronger in Aztecs and other Civ, but Dutch? I'm like really stoked. I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, it will be interesting.
Dutch is my favorite Civ.
They're fun for sure. I like them a lot.
They're fine.
Yeah, I just don't play them a whole lot. But
what's your main Civ then?
Probably Brits. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mostly what I play.
Goongoon did. Oh, you guys are in game now or not?
Yeah. We're about a minute in. So.
Okay, I'm off then. See ya.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate that. It's nice to talk to someone, man. I've been talking to myself for so long. But he's not in the game. He can't quite see the things I can see. Unfortunately, can't quite keep up with the cast in that regard. So I'll keep doing it myself. Not a problem. I'm actually kind of enjoying it. If you guys don't mind it too much, that is. So yeah, as we said, this is a Dutch mirror on Cascade range. Goongoon is currently up 2-0 in the series. Both players standard openings, right? We have they want to get these wood treasures sprinkled across the map, and so far the only one to be picked up is 40 wood by KINGofOsmane. Cascade range only has level 1 treasures, which means they're the lowest of the low. Except for these wood treasures are actually nice pickups, and they're definitely the most valuable on the map. It's going to help with their with their transition bank times. And of course the bank is worth approximately 4 villagers. So if you can get that up quicker than your opponent, that's 4 villagers worth of villager seconds for that time period that you have it up before them. So it's actually a really nice pickup. And however, it looks like Goongoon is going to pick up 2 of these. So he will be a net, was this 40 wood? He'll be a net 40 wood above Osmane. However, in response, Osmane did get 250 food treasures. So things are about even, actually. Although, wow, Goongoon is already aging? Let me double check these treasures, guys. Is that correct? Wow, look at this. Osmane is not sending 3 villagers. That's what's going on. Can you imagine that? This is going to be some cheese. This is going to be some hardcore cheese. Where's the forward base coming at? Oh, look at this. He's bringing in his envoy to make sure he doesn't scout it. But it's dangerously close to being scouted. What's he going to do? A pike run? Is he even building a bank? He's not even building a bank. Is Osmane going to notice this? He must, right? Oh, he's popping villagers in. He doesn't want it to be scouted. This should almost give you an indication that something's fishy going on. If someone's shooting your envoy in a Dutch mirror, you have to wonder. And it's potentially, I mean, it's possible that he scouted these 2 villagers. What's the response? Is he going to lay down another bank, or will it be a military building? He's still searching for that bank. And he knows that he aged up later. Wow, double racks. But I don't think the Goongoon scouted it, because he's built another bank, and here comes the bank wagon. That's not even 700 wood. I fully expect to see 700 wood hit the floor any moment. But still, I mean, you almost have to kill this envoy. It's scouting no banks. That's got to be a huge tip-off. Three SR. The envoy didn't see it. What's going to come out of these? It has to be pikemen, right? Yeah, 4 pikemen in queue. Meanwhile, what's going on in this base? No military building. This could actually be dangerous. Wow. Only 6 pikes though. 700 wood hitting the floor. The pike or the Minutemen come out. There's not much he can do against this though. I mean, those Minutemen do a lot on their own. He's got to know something's up, right? He sees the 3SR shipment. He sees 8 pikes, no bank, and an immediate reaction in response. So now he's just got to defend against cheese. There's no stable, though, from Osmane. So once these 3 Hussar go down, there's nothing to stop skirmishers of Goongoon's own. However, by now the Minutemen hit points have deteriorated, and there's a lot of pikemen here. Interesting. He's just going straight for the TC. Wow, what a bold guy. I thought he'd go for 2 banks, but honestly going for banks wouldn't help him because he doesn't have any of his own. And he's just hunting down these Minutemen very smartly. Now, I mean, there's nothing to protect Goongoon skirmishers. If I pop out, but I mean... Oh, he's gonna go raid. No, we needed to bring these back. But still, the TC is gonna fall. What the heck? Put him in cover mode or something. Cover mode him. I don't know. Is this just game? I can't believe this. He's got to try to get these Huss down. A batch of 5 skirmishers will potentially save him. He's just sick. That's sad to see. What cheese? Do you think he would have won the game? I mean, he's 31-12. Probably not. Huh? He probably would have still lost. That's pretty funny though. You could probably win some games in quick search like that if you want. Anyways, GG's to Goongoon. Osmane not in the best state of being sick and having a fever. So the series goes to Goongoon, 3-0. Well played by him. A very strong player still left in the tournament. So we proceed to the round 8. We have one more series coming up for you guys. Let me check what it is.